When are you guys gonna learn to not fuck with Liam Neeson? Don't stop taking his things. Don't take his baseball card collection. Don't take his cereal. Don't take anything. Hey everyone, David here with my first movie review of the year, and it just had to be for Taken 3 because it's January and I need to review something. So here we go. Taken 3 stars Liam Neeson as Bryan Mills once again, and this time he is framed for the murder of his wife. And so now he is on the run trying to figure out who's framing him for this murder, all while a hardened detective played by Forest Whitaker is trying to track him down and fit all the puzzle pieces together, and this is right next to me. It's like they didn't even try. Yes, in case you didn't notice, the story is quite a carbon copy of The Fugitive. I mean, it's the same thing. It's really the same thing, only they put the character of Bryan Mills from the first two Taken movies into this. And, you know, and quite frankly, I don't think they even took anything from him. I mean, you could say metaphorically his life, because in the first one they took his daughter, and then the second one I believe they took his wife. And I should probably mention that straight up, is that I actually did not see Taken 2. I've seen the first Taken, and I actually quite enjoyed it. But I've heard things about Taken 2 that actually kind of legitimately scared me away. And so I never really caught Taken 2. Maybe if it was on TV or something, I would probably sit down and try to watch a little bit of it, and if it's entertaining enough, maybe I'll check it out. But I've heard some things about it that are quite detrimental. But still, I saw the trailer for Taken 3, and I'm like, you know what? I need something within the month of January to review, to keep you guys entertained. And I know that's a very poor way of thinking, but still, you know, I really wanted to provide you guys with an entertaining review, because I think you guys deserve it. You guys are very supportive. And so I chose Taken 3 out of all the movies that are coming out in January, at least the movies that were set to be released in January, in a wide release, because I know that there's an awful lot of movies that were campaigning for the Oscars that were technically released on a limited run back in December, like Inherent Vice and American Sniper, but now they're getting released this month. I don't consider them January movies. I consider them December movies. They were technically released last year. So I will be checking those movies out, but you know, they're not the movies that I'm exactly going to review because they're kind of old at that point. So I chose Taken 3, and what a mistake that was. First of all, if you're like me who skipped out on either the second Taken movie or the first two Taken movies, you can legitimately go and see this and you will not be missing anything. I saw the trailer for this and I'm like, I get the feeling that this is in no way going to connect with the other two movies, except for the fact that Liam Neeson is going around kicking ass because he's trying to find out who murdered his wife and who's framing him for it. Simple as that. And if you don't take my word for it, the first 15 minutes of exposition will clear it out for you. Trust me. And it's just as generic and by the book as it can get. The story, the characters, even the action, which is very kind of frustrating in a sense, to where as soon as that first action scene popped up, which was a foot chase, I believe, I should have known better than what I was getting myself into, because it is that shaky cam that we hate at this point. And it's, you know, sometimes shaky cam can be used to an effect. Paul Greengrass is often revered as one of the few directors who can use shaky cam very effectively and in a very good and creative way, to where it never makes you sick, first of all, and it never loses you from the action. You know, it never makes you want to turn away. The action in this movie made me want to turn away because the camera is just going all over the place, even on things that I know for a fact, if this effect wasn't taking place within the scene, this would not be exciting. You know, you got cops and Bryan climbing over fences and running, but, you know, Liam Neeson, I love the guy, I think he's badass, but, you know, he's pushing 60. So I know that when he's running, he's just going to be doing this thing, thing where, you know, 60-year-olds, as fit as they could be, you know, they're not young anymore. So they use the shaky cam to make it look like, oh my god, this is exciting, but I know for a fact it's not. There's even moments where the camera would cut to certain shots that had nothing to do with the action. I swear to God, there's a shot in one of those first action sequences where the camera's just going like this, but there's nothing. It's not focusing on anything. It's like just like that, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? And sometimes that would happen even when there's not even an action sequence happening. Even during the main title sequence, the camera is just zooming in and fast forwarding and slowing down during shots of the city. And it's moments like that that remind me of something that Nostalgia Critic mentioned in his review for, I believe, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, the second one, where the camera is just always moving and speeding up and down to where it feels like its audience are all prone with ADHD. What saddens me most about that statement that he made is that it's almost true. I mean, audiences these days have been wanting this kind of entertainment now that directors and filmmakers are kind of forced to give them to them. And whenever a director tackles an action movie in a much more creative and sometimes kind of artsy but still cool and imaginative way, audiences look at it and go, ugh, that wasn't what I wanted. Like, a good example would be Drive. You know, Drive has some of its riveting moments, but they're bookended by moments of character development and much more slow-paced moments that are supposed to be more about intensity. But audiences are like, I was expecting Fast and the Furious, and this wasn't it. And if you love this kind of movies, more power to you, but that's not going to stop me from looking at you wondering what exactly in your mind makes you feel like this is okay. Because there's certain moments in this movie that are not okay. They're not offensively bad, but they just make me wonder why. Why do you give things like this a pass to where it has the potential to insult your intelligence? Because there's moments where I'm like, I'm trying to have fun with it, I'm trying to suspend my disbelief, but this is just so over the top. There's moments that just don't add up and don't make sense. And I should have known ahead of time going into this movie that moments like that were going to happen, but I didn't think that they were going to be this bad. There's a scene during a car chase where a container flips off of a truck and crashes a bunch of cars for no reason. It literally, like, not... It's funny because when this happens, Brian, Liam Neeson's character, and the people that he's fighting are literally over here, and yet the camera's focusing solely on this shipping container flipping around here. This is where the actual characters are, and yet this is happening over here for no apparent reason. Why did we just see that? And what makes it worse is that the way that this was shot was something out of a sci-fi movie. Now, quite a few characters from the previous two movies are returning in this one, and even they still can't save the movie. Like I've stated earlier, I love Liam Neeson. I think he's badass and a great actor, but, I mean, you know, a contract, I'm assuming, is why he came back for this one. Famke Janssen has a thankless role of playing the victim, because that's essentially all she does in this movie. The daughter is also back, but of course, you know, you gotta have the daughter back, or else you won't have something to really drive his character forward. I guess that's the only thing that kind of makes sense in this movie, besides the fact that this guy escaped a fiery explosion without a single scratch, and even then later on when they try to explain it, they don't explain it. They literally show a flashback saying, you know how I got out of that? Well, here you go. Didn't comprehend that? I don't care. I'm Liam Neeson. Forrest Whitaker plays the detective that's tracking down Brian Mills in the movie, and even he didn't really add that much to it either. And I know for a fact that this guy can also be a great actor, but ever so often he chooses projects like this. And his character didn't frustrate me so much as he just confused me. There's a running element to him to where he's like fiddling with rubber bands and knight chess piece, and I'm guessing that's some kind of karma, mojo, you know, good luck, bad luck type of thing that some people have, and apparently they try to attribute that to this character, but they never explain it. They never have a scene between him and Brian, or him and another character saying, you know why I have this around? They never even bothered to explain it to the audience that, you know, after all they explained they did it the first 15 minutes, they don't bother to explain that element. And more so is the fact that there's certain moments where Brian says, oh, this guy's smart. He knows my every move. He's clever. Yet they never give us an idea as to why this guy's clever. It would have been interesting if maybe this guy used to be a criminal himself, and maybe he was in the same task force as Brian Mills, or some logical shit like that. But instead, no, he's just smart. And I was puzzled by that, considering that there's certain moments where certain things just go over this guy's head. To be fair, the only other character that I found a little inkling of interest in his backstory was actually the main villain for this movie. I couldn't find a picture of him. And maybe there's a reason why. Because he's hardly in the movie. And when they have, just when I actually thought, ooh, they're explaining his background and this is kind of interesting, it's over in a 30-second montage. And I'm like, wow, I'd rather watch that movie than this one. And by then, it's too little too late. The movie has become too silly and too generic for me to even bother to care. And, you know, as generic as it got, the story pulled a twist. And even that is also generic. I'm like, wow, you didn't even try with the twist? I mean, it's a thing that I saw a mile away, and I'm like, come on. So, Taken 3, I'm sure I will not remember it all that much later on in the year. So, I can't deem it to be an offensively bad movie, but it is mediocre nonetheless. So, I feel the need to give Taken 3 with what I believe to be the lowest score I've given in a long time, possibly ever. I don't remember the last time I gave a movie this rating, but something in my gut just said go with this one, because even this is not okay. So for that, I give Taken 3, the first in a really long time, a 5 out of 10. So if you're into this kind of stuff, go ahead and check it out. I mean, it's your money, you go do what you want with it. But if by some sort of weird curiosity you want to check out what I'm talking about, I highly suggest you wait until Redbox. And only then will you know what I'm talking about. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of Taken 3 if you managed to see it. And if not, then will you go see it? I don't know, just let me know what you guys think of Taken 3. And I thank you guys for watching. I'm actually going to go and listen to that prank call that the actress who plays the daughter, had Liam Neeson do to her ex-boyfriend. I'm positive that's going to be way more entertaining and logical than what I saw here. See you guys next time.